Hey everybody, it's Kim from Sassy Stitchery, and while I have labeled this floss tube, whatever, it's not going to be a normal floss tube. This is going to be a post-Helene update with a lot of information and, not so much show and tell. So I'm standing in the thread room. I am standing up. That's an old trick when you do presentations. It helps you keep things a little more brief. And also, my folks are working out in the rest of the shop. So if you are new, thank you for tuning in and learning about Sassy Jacks a little bit. And if you are, returning viewer, thank you so much for that. We appreciate you. And if you want to subscribe and like the video, we would appreciate that. That helps us. And if you are new, you might want to go back and watch some of the older ones and get a little bit more normal picture of what we're about. So we are a brick and mortar shop in Asheville, North Carolina. Technically, we are just over the city line. On the north side, we are in the town of Woodfin, North Carolina. And we're in Western North Carolina. That is in the Appalachian Mountains, and we are awfully close to the Tennessee state line. And I'll give you a little history on that in just a minute as I walk through kind of Helene. But and we also do an online business. So we have an online shop, pretty robust shop, and we do workshops and things like that. So for those of you who reached out to me during Helene, right after Helene, Hurricane Helene, I really appreciate you. I still have to get through responding to the notes, all the notes. Quite honestly, I have to do those just a few at a time because it weighs pretty heavily on me still. So I tried to record a video update earlier in the week. Today is Thursday, October the 10th. Thursday, October the 10th. I tried to do this on like Monday or Tuesday and couldn't make it through. Just me personally, I don't mind showing my vulnerable side because that makes me human. But I'm one of those people that just hate to see people get on something and just cry. It just drives me nuts. And there's plenty of emotion for everybody right now. We've all got things going on. And so I decided not to post those videos. And so this one, hopefully I'm in a better headspace and I can make it through. We have been working in the shop this week, and so that is always, it gives joy to our hearts. So, so apologies for not getting a video update out there sooner. For those of you who were worried about me and the shop and the folks that work here and our folks in our local area, right after the flooding event, I'm sorry I didn't get to post sooner. I did post on the Monday that followed because we were able to go into Tennessee. We had to go to Tennessee to get water and fuel, gasoline, and groceries, a little bit of groceries, although we were okay for that personally. And on the way back, for some crazy reason, in the middle of all these mountains, I got like 4 bars on my cell signal, and I was able to post a little bit. But for the week after Helene, which was last week really, cell signal was very, very difficult to find. Every day I went out to a little church up above where I lived and tried to catch the updates. So there was a 10 a.m. and a 4 p.m. update from the local government officials about what was going on. And I would sit in the little church parking lot because I could get a cell signal there. And that was only last week. The first, 4 or 5 days afterwards, there was just no cell signal. There just wasn't. And then this week and over the weekend, they opened up cell towers. They brought in temporary cell towers, and they opened up cell signal providers to everybody. So in other words, if you were on Verizon, you could use a T-Mobile tower or vice versa, whatever. And so that really opened up everybody's ability to be able to use their phones, and no roaming charges. So at that point, a lot of folks were able to get cell signal. So personally, we, at home, we lost power for you know, a day, a little over 24 hours. And we lost internet for a week and a half. And when the power came back on, we're on a well system because we live pretty rurally. We live west of the city. We live in a little town called Leicester, and it's a cow town, a farming town. And it's where my husband grew up, and that's where we live. And so we had water once we got power. And I don't know why we got power. It was really a shock to us because we're on a different power system from most folks in our area. We're on French Broad Electric. You've heard about the French Broad River. That's one of the rivers that flooded, if you've kept up with any of this. And for some reason, we got power back, and we thought we'd be the last. So that was very interesting, and we're very grateful for that. Folks in the area, my brother, for example, who lives about 3 miles from us, kind of over another little mountain, has no power. And with no power, you have no water when you live rural, because you have a pump system that pumps up the water from the well. And so he still now has no power, no water. And there are lots of other folks that have no power, no water, that aren't even as rural as him. They're on kind of a main road. So, you know, I don't know. But you know, we have learned how to manage through a lot of that. My brother, for example, loves to camp, and so he had a generator, and you know, they're okay. They're doing fine. He actually rode over to Tennessee with us to get fuel for his generator, because there were unbelievably long lines for gas and for grocery stores that were open, and you could only use cash. Well, we had some cash, not everybody did, and so we tried to help others where we could. But normally I would never have cash, but my husband, being the country boy that he is, always has a little money put back, and so we were good for that. And we were able to help some other folks too, I think. But for a week, you know, there was really no gas to be found, you know, no water, no lot of food, maybe not a week, maybe about 4 days. And then FEMA came in. World Kitchen Food was one of the first. World Central Food Kitchen was one of the first to come in, and Red Cross, and they got drinking water here in mass, which we desperately needed. There were lots of folks who needed it, and food, because you know, not everybody has food in their refrigerator to last a week, you know, and we. You know, I mean, this was a generational flood. It wasn't even a 1,000-year flood, I don't think. Well, maybe a 1,000-year flood, not even generational. I said that backwards. Apocalyptic, biblical. And I'm not one prone to exaggeration. Whatever you've seen on the news, if you've not been here locally, you've seen bits and pieces. It was mass destruction for us, not just because of the high winds and stuff, but we got soaked with water before the hurricane came through. Unprecedented water. And then Hurricane Helene came through, and overnight on that Thursday night, Friday morning, brought an unbelievable amount of water. And so what happens with the water when you live in mountains is you have high mountains, and we are a waterfall area. So there's lots of little waterfalls and stuff. All the water, you know, on those mountains, the ground was saturated, runs down the mountains and hits all the little streams and creeks and goes into the rivers. And the flooding from that was monumental, and the landslides that came from that, and whole communities literally swept off the face of the earth. And when I say that, I mean it literally swept into the rivers and the running waters. And there's been a large loss of life. Human life, and of course, you know, animal life and livestock and pets and things like that. We had a personal loss, and you know, we have grieved and will continue to grieve that loss, along with others who are grieving people. We know of lots of people who are not here anymore, but you know, this is a community that for generations have had to rely on each other to survive. When you create these little towns before they become little meccas of tourists, you know, they are areas that are difficult to survive. And so there are generations of people here who know how to survive and how to help each other, and you know, everybody banded together and continue to do so to help their neighbors and figure out how to get through this. So I don't want to dwell too much on that. It's a lot, but it was a lot for me to get through just mentally, and I think I know that it is for other people here too, for a whole lot of different reasons. And people are still working. Like my husband has not taken a day off. He has been working to try to get a bridge across a body of water to some folks that are actually still stranded on the other side. My nephew and my brother-in-law are working in recovery with some dogs to try to search and find. And we still have people hiking into some of the very mountainous communities where people just got cut off. Roads just completely disappeared. I mean, you know, one of the things I will say is I now, there have been times where I have wondered how the mountains really and the valleys were formed. You know, and I know it's tectonic plates and all that stuff, but we've got so many ups and downs and little crevices and stuff that, you know, I often wondered, was that the all of it? And now I don't think so. I think flooding created a lot of our landscape too over, you know, thousands of years. And these are the oldest mountains in the world, by the way. This mountain range, the Appalachian Mountain Range, is the oldest mountain range in the world. And that's why the mountains are kind of rounded. So anyway, enough of that. I just want to say that I appreciate you. I had a hard time communicating in the beginning, and once I got signal this week, we got power back at the shop on Monday morning. On Monday or Tuesday, we got internet back, and so we've been in here trying to work. We still don't have water. We won't have water for weeks to come, but we are working on a workaround for that. You know, Hillbilly, my friend Lisa in Tennessee, I was asking her today about something, and she said hillbillies are going to find a way and survive. I was like, yeah, we are. And so, you know, we're working on the water thing, to have some non-potable water here so that we can flush the potties. So that's the big thing. So where does that leave us with all of that? You can imagine why I had a hard time getting through all this with emotions a little bit more raw. You know, we have to move forward. We need to support each other, and we are doing that. And we are so very grateful for all of you who have, you know, donated and given of your resources and your prayers and your skill and your hard work, to all of us who were affected in, you know, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida on the way up, a little snippet of Alabama, Western North Carolina, and Virginia, and Tennessee. We all appreciate you and thank you. You can just follow that little mountain range up, and we just got slammed. We are also thinking about the folks that are dealing with Milton in Florida that came through last night. I haven't had a chance to catch the news to see, you know, much about that. So just know that I've been thinking about you and praying for you. I know that some of you evacuated. Hopefully many of you evacuated and got out of the way of that hurricane. But we love you all and appreciate you. All the people that have helped us, even in the midst of your own struggles. We appreciate you. And I say that collectively for our communities. I'm sure that more pictures will come out. We took a few pictures of the river, videos of the river before it really flooded, before it even reached crest stage, and it was already coming up over one of our main bridges down in Marshall. I haven't posted that video because, quite honestly, the timing of it is hard for me, because that would have been after the flooding and after people lost their homes, before the river even crested. You know, the debris that was coming down that river was hard to see. And so I may or may not ever post those videos, but I haven't taken a lot of pictures. So this is not going to be the place for you to find pictures of this devastation. To be quite honest, it's just too hard. There's a lot, and I just want us to get through it, and we have to do that by one step at a time, dealing with what's in front of us, thinking strategically about how to solve our problems, and moving forward collectively, and of course helping each other mourn and grieve, and then getting back up and moving forward. And the one thing that I know is that my friend who I lost was a person who took action to help people and to enjoy life and move forward. And I know that if he were here, he'd be out there, boots on the ground, helping everybody he could and getting on with the business of living. And so I've cried my tears. I might have a few more, but I'm going to try to move forward. And so on those notes, I wanted to make sure that I thanked you. That long, drawn out thing. So standing up didn't help. Sorry about that. But I appreciate all of you. I will get through every note that came to me. And it just might take me a couple weeks, to be honest, because I can only do a few at a time because it just hurts my heart. So be patient with me. I've not ignored you. I'm just trying to keep my head straight. So I'm looking at some notes. That's why I'm looking at my little book. Interlude here. So I updated you about the shop. We do have power. We do have internet. We don't have water. So, and we won't have water. The whole area that's furnished water through the system that we get it, which is virtually all of Asheville and Buncombe County, they're having to rebuild the water system. So not only did they have like a water break, the pipes were eroded and carried down the river. You know, I mean, they're just gone. They're just gone. And so they're having to rebuild, and they have, you know, they're doing some amazing work deep into the night with engineers and lots of folks that have come to help, and they're working through it. We're going to be working on that. We are going to open next week, normal hours. We're going to stay closed this week. This Saturday, I'm going to go over to Tennessee, to my sister shop over there, Country Crafts, I think is the name of their shop. I always call it the Johnson City shop. In Johnson City, Tennessee. Sandra Jablonski owns that shop, and she's ran that shop for 30 years. And her son and I think even her daughter now live in the town of Marshall, which is very close to us. If some of you have been with us for classes, I've taken a few people down there to my favorite little place to eat. That city took an immense amount of damage, and some places are gone, and they're working on cleaning it out, getting the mud out and rebuilding. That's about 10 minutes from where I live, and it's about 15 minutes from the shop, and it is kind of my go-to place for, you know, restaurants and just small town culture. So they've got a long road ahead of them. She's having a benefit this Saturday, which today's the 10th, so that would be the 11th, 12th. And if you're local and you want to get your cross-stitch fix, come over to Johnson City, Tennessee. And if you need information about that shop, I'll try to post it in the description for the video. But if you search Johnson City, Tennessee cross-stitch, it'll come up. She's making donations to the town of Marshall. That's why I was going around in that circle for Marshall. Her son helped rebuild and revitalize one of the buildings there that used to be a glove factory right beside the bridge that we filmed from, that took so much water and damage. So her proceeds are going to go to help rebuild Marshall, which I would encourage you to support. You can call into the shop and make orders. They don't have a website. I'm going to go over and see if I can help cut fabric or do whatever for them. And, you know, she's got the proper stitcher coming over and the designer for Nebby Needle. And it should just be a nice little time of fellowship, Appalachian style. So North Carolina and Tennessee used to be the same state. We used to go all the way across. And so that little line that divides us is just over some mountains, and there's not a lot of difference between our accents. There's not a lot of difference between our families in a lot of places. My my grandfather's family on my mother's side came from Tennessee, running from the revenuers back in the moonshine days, you know, when NASCAR started, and moved over here to Western North Carolina. So a lot of us have roots over there too, cousins and friends, and they were hit as bad as we were. So we want to go over there and support Johnson City in their efforts to help support us back here in Western North Carolina. So I might see some of you over there. We will open next week. Our normal hours are Wednesday through Saturday, and we are open from 10 to 5 every day. And on Thursday nights, we're open late till 8 o'clock. Up until tomorrow night, we've had a curfew in place. We've had to be off the roads by 7:30 at night. And so we, only one night was I late getting home, and I regretted it. It was a lot of heavy traffic out there for big trucks and workmen and things that they were working on, and no visibility because imagine driving these little mountain roads. It's hard to imagine. You probably can't, but with no light pollution. So basically people didn't have power. So there were no house lights, no street lights, just downed power lines and trees poking out where they shouldn't be. And the one night I was late, I was like, I'm not doing this again. I didn't mean to. I was working on something and time got away. And so I've not been late getting home since then. And those are the reasons why, because you could not see where power lines were down. And there are still a lot of down power lines, although they have gotten power restored to a lot of places. There's still people, as I mentioned earlier, that don't have power, but the lines that are on the road are not hot. They've cut them. So, but they're in your way, and you don't really want to run over them without knowing they're there. And neither do you want to hit the trees that are poking out on the sides. So next week we'll be open. We'll be able to be out until 11 o'clock at night. And not that I plan to be, but that allows us to do Stitch On. So if you're local and you want to come stitch with us next Thursday night, we'll be here. If you want to come shop next week, Wednesday through Saturday, we'll be here. This Saturday, the 12th, we won't be open. We're not going to be open the rest of this week. We reopen next week. This Saturday, if you're local and you want to go shop, go over to Johnson City and help support Western North Carolina and Tennessee that way. So we appreciate you, Sandra, and your team for doing that. Okay, so when you do come back to us, what does that mean? I think everything in here will be normal except for the potty. We'll figure that out. We think we might have a little redneck solution, a little hillbilly water piping going on. But we will be able to manage some of that. But certainly I would encourage you not to intentionally come here with the plans to partake of our restroom facilities, but should you need to do so, we'll be able to manage that for you. We can flush, we just have to pour water into the commode. And so getting the water here is the thing, because there's no well here, so we're gonna fix that. There's very few restaurants open right now. The city and the inspections group are working on that, reopening restaurants. Without water, they have to bring in potable water, which is drinking water, clean water. And they have their restroom issues too. But restaurants are reopening because we have large amounts of potable water coming into the area, drinking water that we can use and they can use to cook with, to clean with, whatever. Non-potable water was the struggle for the whole area to get water to take care of restroom facilities. For some reason, we just had trouble getting non-potable water, and we can't use the water out of the local rivers and streams because it is highly contaminated right now. As you might imagine, everything that was on the sides of the rivers got swept into the rivers, and so what's in those rivers is not something that you want to have your hands in. To even get the water out. And so people who are doing cleanup with all the mud and stuff, they're wearing respirators, boots, gloves, that kind of thing, hazmat materials, because a lot of it is hazardous, for sure and certain. And hopefully those things will improve over the next couple weeks. So we won't have water for a few weeks, so just be prepared. And And know that when you do come, you know, we'll manage that side of it for you. And we'll have a little system in place where you can let us know that you need somebody to take care of that restroom facility for you. We can do that. Or we'll have some buckets of water in there. You can do it yourself if you want to. So anyway, not things I expected to be talking about on FlossTube. That's why I said this is not a normal FlossTube. But, you know, one of my good friends and one of the women that works with me here yesterday said, look, Kim, you can't just not open. You have to let people decide for themselves. And you need to let people come if they want to come, you know, and so on and so forth. So she kind of, as we would say down south, yanked a knot in my tail. Because I was hesitant to open these doors. And but I think we need community. I was trying to figure it all out. I think we need community, and I think the solution is simple. We open the doors. You come if you want to come. Know that you might have to pour water in the potty to flush it. If you have to use the potty, if you don't have to use the potty, nothing's different here. So that covered. Let's move on. I'm looking at my notes again. So okay, so the workshops that we had planned for November, and this kind of takes me into the next stage of what I wanted to talk about. All hotels had to cancel all reservations through the month of October, and not knowing how soon they would be able to correct our water situation and our restaurant situation. You know, our hotels, restaurants closed. Early on, Jackie Duplessis was supposed to be here in November, and as soon as I had a little bit of a phone signal, actually, I remember we were sitting up at that little church I told you about and had a conversation about what to do, and so we decided to reschedule our November workshops and push that to March of next year, which is when she also would normally be here. So the November workshops with Jackie Duplessis are canceled. I think I've gotten emails out to all of you at this point, and I appreciate those of you who were so understanding about it. The hotel, if you had any trouble with that, let me know, but I talked to the hotel, and for those of you who had reservations, they had no issue with refunding your monies. They just, at the early days when we canceled, like us, they did not have internet access, so they could not do it right then. But rest assured that all of that will be taken care of, and I apologize for those of you if you have any incremental expenses that can't be resolved. You know, if there's something I can do to help you with that, let me know. But hopefully any airline reservations or anything like that, you know, they will understand that it's a national emergency, and they'll help resolve that. But if you need anything from me, let me know. I've said that in the emails. I'm happy to try to help however I can. We are going to have our October soiree, which is in about a week and a half. We're working hard to get all that stuff pulled together and get it out to you. But we do plan on doing that. So if you're signed up for that, that's fantastic. We are looking forward to it. It should be fun. It should be a happy time. It's online. It's virtual. Nobody has to travel. Just need an internet signal. So hopefully all of our folks who are signed up for that will enjoy that. We are shipping orders. We've shipped, we're shipping every day. We even shipped when we didn't have power. We came in last week, and we worked during the daylight hours to keep a little bit of sanity and to create some normalcy and to get your stuff out to you. And we hand address those labels. We're now back to machine addressing. So if you got one of those labels that was hand addressed, know that it was when the power was out. And so a lot of love. Some of them I even thought to draw a little hard on, but we appreciate you. So, you know, on that note, I want to talk about a few different aspects of how this impacted us. So many of you have reached out to me and asked me, how can I help? How can I help? And many of you have already helped by donating, you know, water, food, donating to charities like the World Central Food Kitchen, you know, your churches, your organizations sent things here. I mean, it's been an effort from all across the U.S. and also Canada. I can tell you the linemen that fixed our power were Canadian, French Canadian. Somebody asked me how I knew that they were Canadian. I said, because the trucks had French on them and they were talking French. And so I knew they were French Canadian. So we appreciate all the linemen that are working on power and getting us fixed and doing all the other infrastructure things. So thank you for all of your already charitable donations. We appreciate you. To respond to those questions about how can you help, I do think that the World Central Food Kitchen is a fabulous organization. They were here early when people really needed food and needed water, which I know is hard to comprehend if you've never been in that situation. And it was a mass amount of people who needed help. And so they came in early and they were here. The Red Cross was here. You know, so those are two organizations that, you know, immediately jumped to mind. And then of course there's all the individual churches and stuff. But if you from afar are trying to figure out, you want to make a monetary donation, I think those are your places. Designers have stepped up and, you know, pledged to donate proceeds and profits from certain sales to, for example, Jan Hicks chose the World Central Food Kitchen, and I don't know what the time period of that was, but she had a particular chart that she was selling, or maybe it was a whole day or something like that. You can check out her Facebook, Instagram, and website and get that information. And Jan, we appreciate you. Jan has been to the shop, and she's a good friend to our North Carolina folks, and so you know, she was early on with that. Karen Kluba has a couple charts out there that always the proceeds go to the Red Cross, and so we appreciate that. There are probably many others who have been working to do those things, and I've not been online a lot, and so I haven't seen it all. I will get through it all, but if you know of something, that's a great way if you feel so led to support those guys in their efforts to support us. The other things that we've got going on, there's a few things. One of them is, some of you have seen, if you're a fan of Jackie Duplessis, she is creating and has created a beautiful ornament that she has designed specifically for us. And the kitting contents were donated. So thank you to those of you who did that. One person donated fiber, silks. One person donated all the linen. And then a shop owner friend who, I don't know if she wants to be named, so I probably won't name her here, but eventually you'll figure that out, or we'll be able to talk about it, has donated a thread keep that accompany the design. So, you know, many of you have expressed an interest in that. And I am in the process of collecting all the emails, addresses that have come in, and we'll get that information turned back around. I also tried to set up a email page in our website. I don't know if it's active yet, so you can go check, but it says ornament on the top. And my tech guys were working to help me with that yesterday because I wasn't able to figure it out on my own. So that is one way that if you want to purchase that, it's a beautiful ornament. It really, really is. And it is linen with silks, and it's just really lovely. And the sentiment on it is rise above the waters. And that's what we have to do, and move forward and appreciate the blessings that came, that accompanied this disaster, because there were many blessings. And so if you want to jump on the list for that, we would love it. We are hoping to have enough of those put together. We're waiting on supplies. And so we'll do pre-orders for that. And the funds from that will not come directly to the shop. I mean, they'll process through me, but they'll be donated back to some local charities that I know have provided hands-on local help here. And one of those will be Manna Food Bank. Manna Food Bank is a food pantry that provided lots and lots of food here locally and continues to do so, always does so, not just to us, but all over this Western North Carolina area. They keep people fed who have food insecurities on an ongoing basis, and I think that this disaster is going to take a long time, and so proceeds from that will go to Manna Food Bank. Hey, so my phone died, so I had to recharge my phone. So this is several hours later, so clearly I kind of lost my train of thought, but I believe that where I stopped was when I mentioned that the special collaboration that Jackie Duplessis is doing for us with some friends who've donated some materials, cost of materials, and an actual item from another shop owner, which is really special. We appreciate all of that. That we were going to try to donate those proceeds to local charities that benefit the Western North Carolina and hopefully Eastern Tennessee areas. Manna Food Bank is one of them. They support a lot of food kitchens. I think that's what I was talking about. A lot of food kitchens, not just during this crisis, which they really have, and they actually lost a lot of their pantry in this crisis, but they still stepped up and reorganized and were out there, I think the very next day or two, and were able to bring in collections and then redistribute that immediately. But they also support people on an ongoing basis, different groups, different food pantries for folks that are have food insecurity. So that'll be one of them. There's a couple other organizations that I'm looking into locally, but we'll get you more information about that. But I just wanted you to know that the proceeds from the sales of that ornament that Jackie has created for us with the help of some friends donating to supplies will go to local area charities, which were extremely helpful and are continuing to be extremely helpful as people recover from the impact of Helene. Not coming to the shop, we'll just reimburse ourselves for shipping, and then the rest of that goes. So so consider that. I think it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. What I've seen, she's stitching it right now. And then we've got a collaboration with Fiber Talk. As you know, we're an ongoing sponsor at Fiber Talk and have been friends with them for years. And Gary sent me a note and wanted to know, he had an idea of how to help. And so we're working through that, but we have collected kind of a curated group of products here in the shop. Things that we already had in our inventory, things that we have but haven't put up for sale. One of them's an exclusive, well, two or three other, there are several exclusives in there. And we have ordered our kitting supplies for some of those that we needed to yesterday. And so I'm just working through getting all that stuff pulled together. And Gary and I then will present that to you. Those funds will stay with the shop. So you'll purchase those products, and then any profit from those products will stay with the shop just like it normally would. We're just going to feature those items to you and ask you for your consideration if you haven't purchased them, if you would like to, because we did have to cancel our November workshops, and we are going to be losing a lot of foot traffic through here for this time of year. So, and we were closed 2 weeks. So, you know, as much as I'd like to say that we don't need any help, because I hate it, I think it is wise that we graciously accept any help that you throw our way through purchasing those products. I will tell you that I've worked really hard to the staff that was local here. I have one in Tennessee that was cut off because the bridge was gone. But the staff that was local here and could come in and work, came in and worked with me, but I paid them whether they were here or not, because they need that money to meet their daily needs too. Fortunately, it was just a couple weeks, this being the second week, 2.5 weeks. And then we are back to normal hours next week. So when we present that to you, there will be all things that some of them you're familiar with and some of them you aren't, fun things in there. And if it's something that you think you'd like, then we would appreciate it. And of course, gift certificates, if you don't see anything that you would like, but you want to invest in us a little bit. Gift certificates are always appreciated. We do digital gift certificates where you can just put in a person's email and it goes straight to them if you're giving a gift, or if you're getting one for yourself, put your own email in there. And then we have some in-shop certificates too that you can do too for people who are local that want to use it locally. But those things we appreciate very much. And then there's one more little section of our needs here that we're going to meet a different way, and those are all of the pets. And there were many pets lost, displaced, hurt, and so the shelters here, they've been working really fast and furiously to ship animals that were already in their shelters to places where those cats and dogs and other pets can get rehomed. And they've taken in animals that were found that were hurt by the flood, animals that were abandoned, not because people wanted to necessarily, but because they didn't have any choice. They had to flee and they got separated from their pet, or in some cases, they had to abandon their pets because they had to move and their new landlord wouldn't take them. All kinds of reasons, but there are lots of sweet little animals out there that need help too. And a lot that were lost. My friend who perished with his dog, both up on his roof, both perished. So I had something planned in the works for a while that I haven't put into action yet, and I think this is the perfect time. But it's called Hershels Helpers. And so if you have watched any of our live videos, you probably got to see Mr. Herschel trot across the screen when we did that during pandemic. And he's a sweet boy. I lost 2 pets during pandemic. Well, 3 actually. My 2 cats and my husband's cat all died of various things. And we brought Herschel to us in 2021. And he has been just a love. Actually, maybe January of 22 is when he came. He came in early January 22. He was born Christmas Day of 2020. And he was in a shelter for a whole year. And after I got over my broken heart from losing my animals, we brought him in. And so he's just been a whole lot of fun, brought a lot of love to us. And so we have a little group of products that we're going to be offering to you called Hershels Helpers. And they are meant to go to help specifically pet charities. And so I'll be launching that for you somewhere in the midst of all this in the next week or so. And all of the proceeds that come in from Hershels Helpers will go to local pet charities immediately. And so I know that they need help, a lot of help, just like all the rest of the charities here do. But those little fellows, often, we have to put our human selves first sometimes. And so I know those charities are struggling for help. There's been a huge donation of pet food and supplies here that came in from all over the country. And I'm just amazingly grateful for that, for the people that need that. And for livestock too. Livestock, a lot of people lost livestock, or they were separated or lost from their owners. And it's been neat watching the post. Some people literally found a cow, and other people posted that they lost several cows. And I know at least in one case they were reunited. And I've seen pets reunited. So found pets, everybody's posting that they found them, and some people have, gone and looked and found their lost pets. And, and that's always fabulous. And then there are those little fellows that were hurt or that had to be surrendered and need to be rehomed and fostered for a little while and cared for in the interim. So Hershels Helpers, I hope you look forward to that. It's fun. One of the products that's done for it is really fun. So I hope you'll enjoy that. And let me just look real quick and see if there's anything else that I need to talk to you about. So we're in the process of shipping our clubs, and we do 3 clubs right now. We do a linen club, which is with Weeks Dye Works, and it is a fabulous club. And so if you haven't signed up for that club and you'd like to, we're getting ready to ship the next shipment. Now is a perfect time. If you're wondering where it is, it's getting ready to come out. The linen's already cut and tagged. We are waiting on a thread to come in, and then we're going to send it out. So what we do is we send you a fat quarter of your choice of count, And we also send you a swatch, a pre-made swatch with a ring on your first order so that you can keep all your swatches. And we send you a Week Style Works thread. And so those are all Week Style Works. So you're creating a swatch collection of Week Style Works. You're adding to your thread stash, and you can use those threads for, you know, things that only need one color, or you can add it in and use it wherever you want it, but you're getting a chance to use some Week Style Works threads. And then you're having the fabric. So we call it a neutral and maybe a few other things. And so most of the time it's neutrals. The one coming out now is neutral. The one that's going to come out for Christmas is a beautiful fabric. Maybe not so neutral. It's not loud or anything. It's a base color, but it'll work beautiful with some ornaments and stuff. And in the Christmas shipping, which will be for November, you will actually get an ornament pattern from me, and the thread and the fabric all go together for it. So it's wonderful. So I hope you'll consider the Linen Club for Week Style Works. You can find that on our website under Week Style Works. You can type in Linen Club in the search bar. You can go to Sassy Jack's custom stuff and find it. Jack Stash is a club where we ship quarterly. We do a curated box, and I forget what the price of it is now. It went up a little bit from, you know, 6 years ago when we started it. Not much though, maybe like $5. But we collect a few things from Jack's Stash. Get it? So we go into our chart collection, and we don't really have old charts per se, because we're a 10-year-old shop, but our inventory, we've kept it turned pretty well. So we don't have anything ancient unless we acquired it through some weird way, like a shop went out of business and we bought inventory, which I think I've only done once. So there's not a lot of older stuff. And we don't use that in Jack Stash. We use current stuff. But so we include 1 or 2 charts in there, and then we curate the rest of the box. It could be fabulous threads. It could be silks. I will tell you that the one coming up this time is a thread set from Romy's Creations, which I'm thrilled about. She does beautiful, beautiful threads. It'll have some other threads in there, maybe some silks, and it's got some other fun stuff in it. I'm not going to spill the beans. It's cool. So that'll be going out this week. I hope. Today is Thursday, so maybe it might be early next week. The days are getting away from me. But it'll ship out. We'll be putting it together this week. And then also, so you can sign up for that if you'd like to. And so what you end up paying is usually less than half of what is invested in the box. So I can't remember, but let's say that the box price is $40, then you're guaranteed to get it, you know, at least $80 to $100 worth of product in there. And so that's how it's worked. Everybody that's ever done it, for the most part, have loved it. We've had very few cancellations over the years. So quarterly thing, Jack Stash, and it's getting ready to ship out. And then the last one is the Cosmo Club. And I will say that at the end of this year, we may close that one out, meaning that we won't allow new entries for that. And we'll finish out the 2 cycles that we've got going, because we've got 2 groups going. We have an original club, which I think was started in 2020, 2021 in there, somewhere in there, and one in 2023. And we'll cycle through the rest of the collection for those 2 groups. And at the end of the year, so once we get to the end of December, we'll probably not allow any new folks to join, and we'll just finish those out for everybody. And then maybe later we might open a new one. It's a lot to put those together, and we don't upcharge any for that. It's basically our cost. Or normal retail, I will say. So there's not a lot of profit built into those threads or the DMC threads. So we did it mainly to get awareness out there about Cosmo and help people build a little stash of Cosmo. So the Cosmo Club's getting ready to ship. Take a look at that if you think you're interested. Sarah's out there putting those together right now. And Suare. So we are still having our October Suare, our fall Suare. If you're not signed up for that and you would like to, now's your perfect time. We'll be shipping next week. So get out there and get signed up if you want to join our Suare. How that works, it's an online event. It is Saturday for this one. It is the 26th of October. And like this year and next year, we're cycling through 8 different samplers, smalls. And so we're on Dutch. We're going to be doing a Dutch one. And they are inspired by or pulled from my antique collection, Sassafras samplers. And usually I will adapt some motifs from one of those and make it small. It has to be small. It's usually like 4 by 6. That's how small. And we have an optional box that Matt Twist of the Boardroom, he's the husband half of Heartstring Samplery, has been working on for us for the last, I don't know, 6 months or so. We've gone back and forth a few times, and it's just about ready to go into production. And so we'll be taking orders for that soon. And all of your little samplers from this series, so there's 8 of them, will fit into that box if you do them all, or whichever one you do. And you also have the option to display one on the front of the box. And it's a beautiful, it was inspired by a Dutch school work box, I will say. And it's not exactly like that. It's really pretty cool. So, if you want to sign up for the soiree, there is still time. We do limit that. We don't allow a huge sign up for that. One year we had 400 people, and it was a lot. So I think I cut it off at about 100. There may be a little over 100 right now because I've got it set up. But you can go out there and take a look at the soiree if you want to join. And I have opened up, if you are signed up for an upcoming soiree or you've done one in the past, you can buy the pass kits. You can't buy the pass kits if you're not part of the soiree group. And they're really cool. Everybody's loved them. We've had a lot of requests for the pass kits. So that's all I have. I know I've rambled on forever. I really appreciate you being patient with me and listening to me ramble. This was a hard one for me to do. And you know how much I appreciate you all, and appreciate your support of this shop. This shop is a big piece of my heart, and everybody who comes through here is, gets a little bit of my heart too. So I appreciate that. It's really nice to see folks coming through. And if you want to come back and see us next week, come back and see us next week. We'd love it, or thereafter. Just be conscious that the area itself, there are some restaurants opening back up, but you might have to hop over the hill 40 minutes to Johnson City, Tennessee, do a little shop hop, visit them, and have some lunch over there, or drop down into South Carolina or eat lunch on your way over from Eastern North Carolina, or down from Virginia or up from Georgia, because I know you guys come from all over, and I really appreciate you. So I hope you have a good rest of your day, night, morning, whenever you watch this, and thank you so much again for everything you've done to keep us healthy as a shop, and for all the voices of concern. So I hope you are excited about what we have coming up. I'm now excited to be looking forward to that. So I will talk to you again soon. Bye.